Dallas Cowboys, and I want to give a major shout out to Mike Tag. Keep bringing the hype to the Cowboys Nation. We love and appreciate it. Now, can you dig it? Let's get it.
What's up, Cowboys Nation? What is up, Walker? I'm back again. Kelly had the day off. Hopefully, you guys saw the show last night with Anthony Dorsett, man. As a Dorsett fan, that was a dream come true. So we're going to be kicking it. Before I do that and get Kelly going, guys, I always forget this. Make sure if you're new, hit that subscribe. If you've been here and you're loving it, make sure you hit that like. More importantly, share this with Cowboys Nation. Spread the word because we got stuff going on. We've got a lot of cool things coming up. I think, Kelly broke the news. I didn't want to break it yet, but he got excited. We got Daryl Moose Johnson coming up next week. We talked about Chuck Halley's getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. We interviewed his son, Scott Halley, who will be, doing the speech for the Hall of Fame for his father, Chuck. And that is an awesome interview. That'll be dropping next week. And we've got so much more going on, Kelly. Man, how you feel? I know you're working like a dog. That's why you missed out, huh?
Man, I'm feeling good. It's been a long week at work, man, and it's been hot, triple digit heats with the humidity up to like 80. It's ridiculous humid. I walked outside this morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, 5 in the morning, and it was like 83 degrees, and just you could feel the air when you breathe in. That's just, I hate that. I don't like being overly hot. I'm ready for September. I'm ready for cool fall nights and football, man, and we're getting there, man. We're getting closer with every day. So I'm doing good, man. Happy to be here and get ready to talk some football with Cowboys Nation. There's plenty to talk about.
No, there is. And you're not getting no pity out of me when it comes to hot, man. You know where I live.
Hey, I know, man.
So ease up on that. And we've got a great guest, and everyone knows him. If you don't, you better check yourself because he's Cowboys Nation's royalty. And I've had the privilege to be his friend for a few years now. Maybe going back 4 years. I knew him when he probably had 200 subscribers. He invited me to come on his show, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It was actually the first show I ever got invited on, and hopefully I did all right. But he was just getting going, and now he's blown up. But I tell you what, man, if you're looking for content, you're looking for in-depth and film breakdown and draft and all that stuff, there is no one better than my man JTuck, and he is here in the cave. What is happening, my friend?
Hey, what's going on, guys? What's going on, Cowboys Nation, man? Thanks for the intro, man. But Mike, you're a dear friend of mine, man. I appreciate all of our interactions we have, and Kelly as well, man. Meeting you at the draft and just hanging out and kicking your butt in the fantasy football league, man. It's been all fun, man.
Well, it's good to have you on, man. Yeah. I know Cowboys Nation is excited, and you got a lot of good things going, man. Breaking down your breakdown, man, on game film and draft picks, man. I mean, it's definitely, you put a lot of hard work into what you do, man. So it's nice to see you being recognized by the followers, subscribers, and all that, man. So
appreciate it, man.
Yeah, you do a great job.
Likewise, man. And you guys deserve a pat on the back too, man, with these interviews you guys are killing. Low-key, I was like, oh man, got Moose Johnson. I didn't know that Kelly kind of broke the news a little too early, but I started retweeting. I was going
here's the deal, and you know how it goes, man. I always get nervous until it happens. So
right.
They confirm. They say they'll be on. They give you all that stuff, but it's always I always get a little nervous, and it's really up and two. And sometimes I've had it where I think Kelly, when we had Eugene Lockhart, it was like he wasn't on. I mean, it was 9 o'clock, it was 9:01, and it's, hey man, help me out. But a lot of times, when you're dealing, especially we're getting a lot of the guys that played for the Cowboys who are retired, so they're not as tech savvy as I've become.
Right. Right. Yeah, but I mean, it's great. It shows the power of the content community, man. Like Cowboys fans always say, you're spoiled. You get so much content just nonstop, especially now since the season's kicking off. So, definitely embrace it. And I love it because it brings a different flavor and different insight from everyone's channel and perspectives, man. So it makes it great. So we are the best content community. You know, they're mad at me right now on Twitter for, you know, taking a little jab, but it is what it
I
is.
saw that. Hey, man, you only speaking facts, man. You know, prove when I say prove the man wrong.
Prove me wrong, man. I'm just saying. I've seen Giants clips from camp. I've seen Commanders. I've seen plenty of Cowboys. I just ain't seen.
No.
Yep.
We're too busy watching the
Right.
content, man. You know, that's the way it goes. But no, it's awesome. And I got to ask you on training camp. You know, we're getting started.
Mhm.
You know, everything's kind of going. You know, and you're probably right. Do we read too much into all this stuff? I mean, you know, Dak, he threw 2 interceptions. I got my man Malik Rozier who played for the U. We got a bet going on a steak dinner. He thinks that Purdy's going to be better than Dak. He's tweeting out that he wants the over and under on Dak because he's going to throw more than interceptions, he says. But I mean, do you think we just go to that extreme on you know, who's doing great, who's doing bad, and all that kind of stuff with training camp?
Yeah, I think it's low hanging fruit when it comes to the Cowboys, right? Because, you know, all the years, like this is not Dak's second season. All the years when he was bottom in the league in interceptions, it was never a problem. Then he was dinking Dak. He got the label back then because he wouldn't take any risk and he wasn't a gunslinger. Like that was the knack on him, right? And then last year when the interceptions happened, and like we all have 2 pairs of eyes, we saw what was really going on, hitting players in the hand. I know Mike, you were out there in Jacksonville, so you saw it bounce off of Noah Brown's hands, but it's just when it comes to Dak Prescott, it's always something, right? And I posted the video today with Chris Bouchard talking about Dak want to be elite until he wins multiple Super Bowls. So it's always going to be a moving target. So I'm not reading too much into these interceptions at practice. The only reason fans are flipping out is because it's film. You know, I'm sure Steph Curry is airball a lot at practice. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it happens. And you want players to try things in practice and know what they can and get away with at camp. How do you know if Jalen Tolbert can go up and get it? Do you want him to test it out in the game and find out? Or do you want him to test it out in practice? And so it's like people have to relax, but it's just the low-hanging fruit. And I just think with social media now, a lot of Cowboys fans just get jabbed at. And so they're just antsy. So they think that Dak was going to have a practice from pretty much June all the way until September and not throw an interception. Like what's I don't know. I don't get it, but I understand it because it's kind of how the media has like marked fans to kind of think that every little detail, is an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny you say. Well, I didn't hear him say multiple. Does Rogers have multiple? Did I miss something? Am I sleeping?
So it was so funny because there's actually 2 clips that was sent to me. So he said that Dak isn't elite. He can't be elite till he wins multiple Super Bowls. And they're like, well, what about Aaron Rodgers? And he was like, well, Aaron Rodgers had a thumb injury that prevented him from being elite this year. And they're like, well, Dak Prescott was out multiple games with the broken thumb. Like, you know, it's just like, you know, it's just fast food content, you know, like whatever, bro. Like, just say, hey, you're just trying to eat up this segment so you can get to the next commercial. And you really don't know what you're talking about. Like, I get it, but it's always, like I said, just a moving goalpost whenever it comes to Dak Prescott. And so, like, when Matthew Stafford won the Super Bowl, you know, last year, leading the league in interception, nobody cared. When Joe Burrow leads, you know, like when everyone else, Josh Allen leads the league in turnovers, nobody cares. But it was just something they could just pin on Dak Prescott and be like, aha, that's the reason, right? When he was in 2021 coming back from the ankle injury and almost had similar numbers comparable to Aaron Rodgers, who won the MVP, that was just him. You know, then they can't win playoff games. But then he won a playoff game, but then it's like he can't win the divisional. And then, you know, it's like it's always something. So it's like I get it, but
yeah.
Yeah, you can't. When it comes to Cowboys, the Cowboys team, man, there's always going to be something that they criticize.
Right.
Everybody wants to criticize, and then if it ain't that, they're going to move the goalpost. You know, it was like the Trayvon Diggs things a few years back, gave up the most yards by a cornerback. Then the next year, we didn't hear shit about that. So
right. Wait till the video comes out when Trayvon Diggs gives up a catch. Oh, it's gonna be a meltdown online. Like, this is why he shouldn't have paid him. He gave up it's just like.
Yep.
That's what I'm waiting for. As soon as he signed it, I said, all right, when's the tide going to turn? Because then it's a love fest. Oh, we got it done, right? The first day doing the videos and they're doing this. We got them done. And just wait until there's something on him that happens in a big game where he doesn't make a play. And it's amazing that as soon as you sign that deal, that big deal, it just turns
overpaid.
Well, the bad part is I know what the Cowboys media, who does a phenomenal job covering the team and covering camp, is trying to do. Like, they're trying to highlight, okay, Nashawn Wright, a guy who's kind of on the fringe, makes an interception, but nobody cares about that. They look and see what was that number that threw that ball, and as soon as they saw it was Dak, it was just like, here we go. I'm just like,
I know when Malik he commented on that video.
of course, right?
I took a picture of it. I'm zooming in because I was like, please let it be someone else because I'm going to put him on blast. But
Yeah, they need to like crop, like not even seem like an editing app, like just crop who throw it out and just like get the interception, man. Like, we don't need these extra headaches, fighting on social media when it comes to Dak Prescott. We already have more than enough. So
yeah, well, I know I tweeted out earlier I said, I remember last year, Eagles fans in particular were the ones that seemed to kind of run with it first. But, Simi Fehoko burns Diggs in camp. And, and then if Twitter just blows up, they're like, look at him already giving up all these yards. And then, last year Diggs comes out and has a lot less interceptions, but he was locking people down and showed he could be that cover corner. And, so it's a lose-lose situation when it comes to like the Cowboys, just because everybody wants to just jump on something so quick. I can guarantee you Jalen Hurts is throwing interceptions in camp. Patrick Mahomes is throwing interceptions in every quarterback, those interceptions in camp. You're taking more chances with it. But, you got to also think about Dak's going up against a really good defense every day in camp too. Right. Mm-hmm. So that, that whole phrase, iron sharpens iron, like that goes for this Cowboys offense and defense. Cause that defense out there is going to be really, really good this year.
Right, exactly. And then what a lot of people don't understand, like especially right now in walkthroughs, a lot of it's scripted. So what plays are pretty much being ran, so it's like, for a former football player, like I used to like this time of year, you kind of time to show out. It's like, all right, I know they're about to pass the ball, so let me go get some pressure, but it won't be that way in the game. But it just is what it is when it comes to Dak. But the thing I love the most about Dak, it doesn't phase him at all. It's just like, it's just like he's just water under the bridge. So it kind of shows his temperament that, a lot of this noise really doesn't get to him. I know he spoke about turning down the quarterback show on Netflix, but he's like, we already get enough attention. He's like, I just don't need it. Right. And so it's like, I think Dak's going to have a great year. I think things are going to be simplified for him. And I expect him to be much improved from last year, which last year wasn't a bad year, but of course they're going to make it that way.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I was actually talking to my buddy today at lunch, fellow Cowboy fan. So and we both said it almost at the same time. It seems with Dak this year, he's being a little bit more in his press conferences speaking. I always thought he was so robotic. He would just say the same thing. And he just seems a little bit more showing his true personality and confidence. He's just not so robotic this year. And I think that's maybe that identity and maybe that confidence he's getting from McCarthy and, the defense and kind of what they're doing. I mean, have you noticed any difference in that, or am I being one of those fans that are overanalyzing everything?
No, you're not. And just like you said, Mike, this is why I've been so vocal. Even though Kellen Moore, he was who he was, I wanted Mike McCarthy connected with Dak Prescott, right? Because he's the quarterback coach. He's been around Joe Montana and Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, and so he has that tough PA type of mindset. So when you put him in a room with Dak Prescott, it's only natural to rub off. And I think that Mike McCarthy is giving him the confidence to be like, if you don't like this play, get it out. What do you want to do? Like, this is your offense. It's not my offense. It's your offense. And so I just think that it's just kind of rubbing off a little bit with Dak Prescott, because we remember Hard Knocks. I remember Cowboys fans were freaking out. Like, I didn't know Dak cusses this much. I didn't, just like, he's an athlete. He's, what I'm saying? He's a top of his craft athlete. I'm sure he cusses more than the average person. Right. So it's like, I just want to see some of that. And I feel like my biggest frustration with Dak at sometimes, it was that he was a little just too corporate, right? It's like, if Kellen Moore is calling this BS reverse, nah, we're not running that. We're not running that right now. We're going to do something else. He just never had that type of factor. So hopefully Mike McCarthy will install that into him. Like, hey, trust your gut. If you don't like it, let's get away from it and just get to what's going to help us win ball games. So I think you're going to see a new Dak Prescott.
Yeah. Speaking of that relationship between him and McCarthy, and obviously a new kind of offense that they're installing and implementing this year, the Texas Coast offense, which is a lot similar to the West Coast offense. But my thing is I want to know your opinion on this, Tuck. Is it, do you think that we will see Dak use his legs a little bit more. I know a lot of fans and people I know even myself have talked about it and mentioned it and said, hey, look, it doesn't have to become a running quarterback, but Dak, when he uses his legs, becomes very dangerous. And it adds that extra dimension that makes these defenses have to defend that, especially when it gets down close to the red zone. And if you're running the ball well, that play action fake where Dak just bootlegs out, I mean, that is easy money. Are we going to see that more this year? Because it felt like it kind of fell off after the Dak leg injury.
Yeah, I think we are. And I think so I did the video on Brian Schottenheimer. He had said in the interview, like, he likes to get the run game. Like, he wants to get the run game going, rain, sleet, or snow. Like, so that's what his focus is. And then stem off of that with the play action. Like, I think a lot of people think about Dak Prescott as taking off and running, but what Dak is most lethal is with the moving pocket. So when he's outside the pocket, moving outside and throwing, like, he can do a lot of different things and then be strategic with his running. So like you said, Kelly, down in the red zone, because we remember in Tampa, it was just like boom, play action, roll out. He was wide open. And I think that Dak wants to use his legs. I think that the Cowboys were kind of skittish because of the injury that happened in 2020. Because I remember in 2021 when we played against the Falcons and he ran to the end zone, he trucked like two guys and they yanked him out. And they're like, don't you ever do that again. And he's like, I had to send a reminder. So people forget Dak is a big boy. Like, he was recruited as Mississippi State, kind of like a tight end / linebacker / quarterback. So, I mean, he's a big dude. And so I think he'll run more, just be a lot more strategic with it and pick his spots, so I just don't think you're not going to run him like, Lamar Jackson, but sometimes when it's 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, you need to just step up in the pocket and keep the chains moving and slide a little bit. He'll absolutely do it. And I think that's going to just add even more to our offense, because when Dak is using his legs, that's when he's the most lethal.
Yeah. And I agree. I mean, that's where I want to see him use his legs, is just get that first down and slide.
Right. Get down. Like, I'm not going to say my heart skips when he takes off, but
another thing that has always surprised me about the Cowboys on these short yardage situations, and I understand we've had Zeke, who's a great short yardage back, and we used him as such because obviously you don't want to. But you know how the Patriots and even when he went to Tampa, Tom Brady and even Aaron Rodgers, that quarterback sneak on them short yardage. I mean, Dak is such a big quarterback that you just feel like that would be an automatic thing and something to have in your arsenal. Because I remember one time Tom Brady got so good at it, they showed a stat, and it was just like he was like 150 and like 1 or 2 or something, flying like 3rd and 1, that quarterback sneak. So you also kind of wonder about stuff like that. If with Dak being a quarterback, you've seen him do it a couple of times. I remember, I think last year there was one, it was 3rd and 1, and he got like 7. You know what I mean? He pops through that line, he's there. So. But such a big quarterback like Dak, I mean, you just something else to add.
Put Mozzie behind Dak. You're gonna move the line. But I was talking on Twitter the other day, it's like, okay, we know what Pat Mahomes is, we kind of know what Aaron Rodgers is, but if you look at the other quarterbacks that are in the MVP discussion, those rushing touchdowns do add up. Like, even for Jalen Hurts, like the rushing, you go back to Lamar Jackson. So just getting those red zone touches and different things like that can definitely boost Dak Prescott's, I won't say his elite status, because no matter what the hell, he can rush for 35 touchdowns and he runs too much, right? But I just think that it's just going to add more to his game, because the IQ is there, the arm talent is there, the play recognition, that's all there. Now it's kind of weaponized things, and he spoke about it today in the interview. He said, now that I understand the why we're calling plays and why we're running concepts, with my follow-up question would be like, okay, why did you understand that previous year? Okay, but anyway, but he says that he can play a little bit more free, like he's not thinking as much, and so he's kind of just using his God-given ability. So I would definitely like to see a lot more Dak Prescott using his legs, and we're probably going to see it. Just be careful, Dak, because I'm not doing Cooper Rush again.
No, we don't want to do that. And speaking of running back, so I mean, that's the next area I wanted to get into is just a little concern. On the offense, you got the receivers, you got the running backs, but more for me on the running back is who's behind Pollard. Now, there was a lot of concern and a lot of people like Malik Davis. I mean, I thought he ran hard. It's always going to haunt me that in the San Francisco game, I saw him in there for like 2 plays and there was just nothing else. And I think the game went south there. Zeke just, he didn't play bad, but he just didn't have that burst. And I thought that get them fresh legs in there. So, I mean, is he the guy? I'm not sold on Jones. I don't know if you can sell me on him. I like Vaughn. I think Vaughn's going to be one of those guys, but I don't know if he's that is he that number 2, or is he a guy that you're going to bring in kind of on a gadget, third down kind of thing? So what's your thoughts on the running back room? Are you confident, or are you saying, hey, just keep your eye out for one of these veterans because down every day as we
Right. Well, me, I've been kind of, beeping the horn to get 21 back, but I doubt it's going to happen. So I feel like how things are going to play out, you're going to have Tony Pollard, of course. I feel like Malik Davis has earned the right to be the running back 2 until proven otherwise. Like you said, Mike, like I was frustrated out there in San Fran, like give him the ball, because I feel like he was the one unknown. And when I did the breakdown for San Fran, the weak spot for the San Fran's defense wasn't in the middle between the tackles. It was actually on the edges and the outside. Well, Zeke, God bless him, but he's just not a threat on the outside like Tony Pollard was. Yeah. But you have a young guy, Malik Davis. I feel like he could have gave us a lot of boom in a surprise element in that game. But Kellen Moore said, nope, doesn't matter. I'm going in to LA. So I feel like Malik Davis should be your running back 2. After that, I think that Deuce Vaughn is going to get the reps, and it's kind of gazing things, even though it's only day 2 of camp. He got a lot of opportunities, especially in the passing game today. He kind of gives you that dual element. And I know that Deuce Vaughn looks like a little Super Mario character out there running, especially his little mushroom hat on today. But people forget, like when he was at K-State, like he was the guy, like he was their offense. And so I think the Cowboys really have a plan for Deuce Vaughn. And then after that, it's going to be open competition. I haven't heard much about Hunter Luepke. I'm strictly high on him because I know the Cowboys put a little extra in his bag as an undrafted free agent, but he's more of your hybrid fullback / running back / tight end a little bit, so he can do a lot of different things. But then Ronald Jones, he's kind of the wild card because he's your veteran guy, played in the Super Bowl, played in Kansas City, so he's played with some great quarterbacks and played in big moments. But is he a piece, or is he a jag, as I'll call it, just the guy, right? So it's like Ronald Jones is kind of the unknown, and then Rico Dowdle. So I would go Malik Davis and then Deuce Vaughn to kind of be your backups behind Tony Pollard as of now.
Yeah. I don't know if I would make this comparison, but in the chat, Deuce's next work done.
I wouldn't say work done. I think the fair comp, I mean, granted, is K-State, and K-State is the Darren Sproles. Like, I just, and Brian Schottenheimer was in San Diego with Sproles. Yeah. Sproles was a mentor to Deuce Vaughn at Kansas State. So I just think that's what they saw, and that's what they're going to go with, especially in this West Coast offense. Just quick, get it to Deuce, let him get out in space and do his thing. So I think they got a plan for Deuce Vaughn. I think it's more Sproles than work done.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love him, man, and I'm just excited to see him on the field just because of the versatility he does have. Because, like you said, at K-State, he's a guy that because a lot of people just are like, he's a pass catching, he's quick, he's kind of like an outside. No, I mean, this dude ran in between the tackles, he ran to the outside, he lined up at the receiver position and caught. I mean, he could do everything, and I've seen him make some incredible plays, and I mean, last year at Texas Tech had a pretty good defense last year compared to what years, and Deuce Vaughn just ran right through us, man.
Right.
I mean, we didn't have no answer for the dude.
Even Alabama, what he did versus TCU, heck, I covered the Jayhawks. He tore the Jayhawks apart. Just like, so like he was a bell cow back, and he doesn't feel like it. He doesn't look like it. I mean, I'm sure all of our kids are bigger than Deuce Vaughn. But I tell you, when he goes out there and puts on those pads, man, he's electric. And so, it's crazy because when I watched him in the Big 12 conference, I tweeted that, hey, Deuce Vaughn is here doing his best Tony Pollard impression here at AT&T. Well, then now it looks like he might be Tony Pollard's insurance policy in case we lose Tony Pollard next year. So I think he just adds a different dynamic to our running game. And, I like what he's going to bring on. Just like the younger backs, with Malik Davis and Deuce. So,
yeah, it's, I love old gangster rap. That's my thing. And I know we argued about what rap was better.
Drake.
It's like Ice Cube said about Eazy-E's, built like a tank, yet hard to hit.
Right.
That's what I think of Deuce Vaughn. So
right. Yeah.
I just get, as long as Malik can get it done. I mean, the thing I just don't want is I don't want uncertainty. I mean, this team is a win now team. I believe in Pollard. Don't get me wrong. So I'm not shorting him at all.
Yeah.
But I just think in the league today, it's a 2-back league. Could even be a 3-back league.
Right.
With the amount of games and the way these guys go, that I just want to make sure that we've got no questions. I don't want Jerry Jones getting them alligator arms and not getting that pocket if we see trouble.
Right.
And I think you talked about it, is Cowboys aren't afraid to make some changes in training camp. They brought veteran guys in, and they've cut some veteran guys in that they brought in. There was some safeties that we had, a couple of years ago that they brought in and then end up cutting them because it didn't work out. So I want to see
quality guys. There's some quality guys out there. My real concern when it comes to the running back room is really pass pro, though. That was Zeke's bread and butter, right? So Tony Pollard, no. Malik Davis is still green. Deuce Vaughn probably couldn't block me off the edge. And so it's like, that's where I might lean towards, like a Ronald Jones, but it's just like, I don't know. So it's just like, I just feel like I know salary cap, you have to take that into consideration. I know what I'm getting in Ezekiel Elliott. I know what I'm getting in a Dalvin Cook. I know what I'm getting in a Kareem, Leonard Fournette. Like, I know what I'm getting with these guys. It's just this unknown, just like you're saying, Mike, where it's like, if we look out there and, Deuce Vaughn misses a block and Dak gets smoked, all Cowboys fans are going to come livid. So we'll see. Hopefully that's not the case. So,
yeah. No, absolutely. So this is where, and I apologize. I didn't let you do your intro, of course. If they don't know, but tell everyone they can find you real quick. And then
yeah. So you can find me on all social media platforms, JTuck151. That's Instagram, Twitter. I'm back on TikTok. I apologize, Cowboys Nation TikTok. Like, I just stopped using it for the longest. I'm back on TikTok. So find me at JTuck151. And then my YouTube channel is CFO Sports on YouTube. Comment, like, subscribe. We do a lot of film breakdown, live shows. Just have fun. And then next week, I will be out there live at camp. I land early Monday morning, so I'll be covering camp live and direct. So, yeah, definitely just, come by and, have a good time. We just love talking football, Cowboys football. It's fun over there. So definitely you give me a follow, man. Appreciate it.
You got the DJ voice, man.
A lot of people know me as JTuck, the content creator, but a lot of people before that know me as JTuck, the radio DJ. So
there you go.
There we go. Before we go, we might have to get one of that spinning the ones and twos.
Yeah, I actually you can't see it, but I got a turntable back there. Sometimes, when the wife and kids are going, I'll come down here and crank up a little bit and mix a little bit, turn up,
But, you do the scratching. You can do
I'm a little rusty, because I used to DJ in clubs and do all that stuff, man. But I can't even stay up past midnight anymore. No club's gonna bring. I might even do the early morning session. I can come DJ at your club pretty much like from 7 to like 10 o'clock, and then then I'm kind of tired, man. But
well, because I was gonna say, we got the Cowboys Cave tailgate parties. I don't do live crews now doing a whole lot. I was gonna see if Mr. Mix wanted to head out to Dallas, maybe to work.
Yeah, I could, but you know how they act at AT&T. Like, can you turn your music down? And you can't have those kind of speakers, and you can't, it's like
that's why I'm telling you, Jay, that you missed the Jacksonville game. If Dallas ever plays at Jacksonville again, you have got to go. It is the best tailgate party. I'm a Miami-based guy. Miami, that's what we got. So most people probably never heard of Jam Pony Express or those guys. And it was just, the woofers were all over the place, and it was just a street party. Yeah. Now, it was bad because we lost. I had to do the walk of shame and party, but it was
right. That's how San Francisco was. Like, San Francisco, like, walking into the stadium, you had to walk through the tailgate, and like everyone just had their trucks parked, big flags, music blasting in there, basking like Too Short, and just like, so you're trying to get in that mood. And then, after the game, I was like, just I tell it out of there. Like, get me the hell up out of here, man. Like, I'm sick of these people. So, but it's just frustrating because, Mike, we talk about this all the time, like how other NFL stadiums are compared to our stadium. It's just, they just don't let us be fans, I guess I get spoiled seeing everything here in Kansas City because Kansas City is like chaotic with their tailgates. And it's just like,
they're just, they're high end. And hopefully, Kelly and I ain't going to walk out disappointed. Are we? We do?
Nope.
Jay,
we're not.
Yeah, week two. Yeah, week two. We're gonna turn it up a notch, man. Like, we're gonna turn it up and have some fun week two. I'm so used to the opening game in Dallas being like a Sunday night game. So I'm keep thinking in my mind, like, okay, we're gonna be out there all day. And I keep forgetting, like, oh, it's 3:00. But we cannot, Cowboys Nation, sleep on the Giants game because I'm going to the Giants game, but I keep forgetting because I'm looking so focused just to get back to AT&T and be around everybody. It's like we got to handle business here first in New York. So New York. So, but I definitely love being at AT&T.
No, I keep saying every time I promote it, I'm like, yeah, I have the opener, and then I fix myself.
Right.
Home opener. I
So, yeah, home opener. Right. Yeah. We're so used to it. Like, yeah.
But what I was going to say is to the people, that's why I wanted to make sure you could find him. This is where my man JTuck makes his money, and this is why I need him. Is we're talking about these receivers.
Okay.
And obviously we've got the three, right? I don't think there's no doubt it's CD, right? And Gallup and Cooks and all that.
Yeah.
But when we get after that, it gets a little funky.
Mhm.
And I keep hearing this name, and I know it's a hyphen. All I know is Cropper.
Mhm.
And I know you talked about him, way back when.
Mhm.
And so what is, 4 or 5, 6? What do we got?
Yeah, we got some fun. We got some entertainment, right? So I just actually dropped the video a second ago before I came on. Jalen Tolbert. So Jalen Tolbert was one of my favorites out of South Alabama last year when I scouted him in the draft. And he's more of your outside guy, but he has swagger, speed, can go over the top. Like he can do a lot of different things. And so that's why I was jumping on tables when we drafted him last year. But then when things didn't go how they were, was playing, I was like, this isn't the kid I scouted. So what's really wrong, right? And so he did some interviews this offseason where he was saying he only started playing football, I think like 11th grade or his junior year. So he's kind of a slow progressor. But he said when he got to South Alabama, that they just really simplified the offense and say, go run deep or go run a slant, right? And he's really gravitated that because a lot of people don't understand is Nick Saban wanted him to transfer to Alabama, but he wanted to stay at South Alabama, so, he's extremely talented. So he's already getting off to a great start in camp, have a great first 2 days. Then there's Simi Fioco. Simi Fioco is another guy we talked about highly in the draft process out of Stanford, a speed guy, a guy that can go downfield, high point the ball. He actually did punt returns as well, but, he'd been here for this is year 3 for Simi. Had some lapses yesterday in practice, had a good practice today. No drops, Kelly, no drops, no tips, anything else. He's good today. But, he just hasn't really just found his thing right as of yet. So, you have Simi Fioco, but the guy that you're speaking about is Jalen Marino-Cropper out of Fresno State. He was an undrafted guy. And when I saw his film, I was just like, I love him. And when we got him as an undrafted, I still don't know how he went undrafted. I still don't know. But he's a kid. Actually, one of my subscribers had coached him all the way up to high school. So I talked to Mo, shout out to my guy Mo, about his family. Like he's a diehard Cowboys fan. Like he lives and bleeds blue and silver. Yeah. And so this is his moment. And that's why you're seeing him just go crazy already at camp because he is where he always wanted to be. But he's a shifty slot guy. He's a slot guy that can stretch the field. He can go over the top. He can do a lot of different things. Ran the sweep a lot at Fresno State. He had some lapses, had some drops in college, but like I said, he's where he wants to be. Like he is locked in, he's zeroed in. So, I've been tweeting this before camp even started. Like he is going to be a name that's going to send Cowboys fans into a frenzy, and you're already seeing it in day 2 of camp. So he would be a guy I would not be surprised is on this roster when it's all said and done and when the smoke clears. Because I feel like once Cowboys fans really get a real up close look at him in preseason, he's going to be buzzing throughout Cowboys Nation. It's going to be hard to let him go.
Yeah, and I want Kelly to jump in on this too, but I just was going to cement what you said. I know, player who played at South Alabama, and we had talked, and he said the one thing that he was probably struggling with was the playbook because, like you said, it was new, and then you had some things change, and so that's where he got to a slower start. But I think you're going to see Jalen Tolbert. I think you're going to see that leap from him. This year, big, and he's not getting 1,000 yards or anything, but I think if you get that 4th receiver spot, like we've talked about, you just need to make some key plays in critical spots where you get those opportunities. You got to come through, and that's what we're looking for. And Kelly, what's your thoughts with the receivers?
Well, I just I know for the past couple of years there's been a guys on the Simi train, and like I want him to succeed too, obviously, but my whole thing with him was that the reason why he hadn't cracked the roster has been a lot of inconsistency, right? Like he's had some good and he's had some bad. And I think they need consistency out of him. And I thought, I was just a little disappointed that, obviously it's just one, but it's like, hey, look, you're in a non-padded practice, man, and you're running a slant route. He hits you right in your hands and you drop that. you're a guy that's like getting looked at. This is your year. Like if you don't do it this year, you're probably not gonna be on the roster next year. Like you're done. Maybe you get cut before the season starts. So I just expected to see a little bit more from him, and so it was a little disappointing. But I think Tolbert, like that's a guy that I think the Cowboys really want to succeed as well, because I mean they spent a 3rd round draft pick on him. They don't want the guy to just go unused. So I think he's going to get plenty of opportunities to show that he's got what it takes to make this roster. And I think he can. I hope it is true that he's just, the developmental curve is just a little different for him than some other receivers. And because, that is the case with some guys. So I'm rooting for him to do some things, man. And I agree. I think like Mike said, I think he'll be a guy this year that we can get some yards out of. I mean, even if we got, 500 yards, I think would be good, target for that guy to shoot for. So
yeah, and if you think about how unfair it was to Jalen Tolbert, like he was quote unquote supposed to be your Amari Cooper replacement, like whoa, it's like that. I was kind of saying this in a joking way, but it was the truth that Jalen Tolbert came in with more expectations than CeeDee Lamb came in. Like CeeDee Lamb was just supposed to come in. He had, Michael Gallup, he had Cedric Wilson, he had Amari Cooper. Like he was just extra. But when they got Jalen Tolbert, it was just like, okay, we moved on from Amari Cooper. This is going to be the guy. I was like, whoa, right? So I feel like without that pressure, it's a different offense, and Mike McCarthy knows how to get the best out of his players' talent, right? So I think that's really just going to help him. And I think you're going to see a lot different, Jalen Tolbert, because think about the knock that everyone gives him, right? He lined up all sides. Right? Well, think about, he was probably just thinking too damn much to even line up all sides. Like there's so much going on with the processing of Kellen Moore's offense. He was probably thinking, okay, I got to come off the field. I got to run, and he wasn't in his natural mindset. So I think Mike McCarthy's going to simplify that for him.
Yeah. I mean, I think you saw it in that game. I remember it. And he looked at the ref, kind of gave him a thing, and he moved a little bit, but really not a lot. And he looked again, and I just think again, I think maybe the pressure, maybe the uncertainty, maybe just, nervousness, whatever it could be. But I think he seems more confident, and listen to the interviews that he's been on. He just seems a lot different than he was last year. So receiver, I have zero concerns in the receiver department. Tight end. So, Schoonmaker, obviously he's not practicing. Ferguson, I think we love. Hendershot, we love. Are you comfortable with the tight end group that we have?
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows I'm a tight end guy, right? But that's why I wasn't so heavily focused on it this year in the draft, because it's like I like what Hendershot has, and I like what Jake Ferguson also has, and I like Sean McKeon as well. So it's like I feel like we are good, like we didn't need to go draft a tight end, but once everyone started talking about it, I was like, okay, well, I'll join the party. But when it came to Luke Schoonmaker, it was kind of a head scratching moment for me, because it was like, what does he bring to our offense that we really don't have? And I know everyone say he's the blocking tight end, but Jake Ferguson wasn't bad at blocking. Like he wasn't like horrendous at blocking. And Luke Schoonmaker had injury history at Michigan. He's damn near 25 years old. I think he will be when the season starts. Yeah. And now he's in a boot with plantar fasciitis, where he was in rookie camp and still in that boot. And it's like, okay, I mean, I think what really happened with Luke Schoonmaker is that there was an early run on tight ends. They panicked and said, we need one for whatever reason. They just like grab what was left on the shelf. So that's where I'm at with Luke Schoonmaker. Now, I think once he's up and moving, he'll be able to help, especially if you're going in 12 personnel with 2 tight ends. But it's like, I feel like Hendershot really gives us that wide receiver hybrid / tight end that can stretch the field and do a lot of different things. And when used correctly with him and Ferguson, it's a dynamic weapon, a dynamic duo, because we saw what they were doing. They were hog tying, and we saw what they did versus Brady and in Tampa. But Kellen Moore got away for it. So I would like to see them really just get their chance to do it year 2, but they will right now. So, I mean, it's their court because Luke Schoonmaker is out. So for those two, they really need to make their footprint. Like, no, we are the guys where he's not taking our spot. But I'll tell you this, you want to see a house, like I just said a second ago in my video, guy who stays eating 45 plates. Luke Schoonmaker's a big boy. Like he looks damn like an offensive tackle. Yeah. So, that could be why they were intrigued by him to take him, because he's a monster. Like, so he definitely puts on the weight in the weight room, but it remains to be seen. But I'm comfortable with the tight end room. I feel like everyone gives us a new dynamic compared to what we have in Dalton Schultz. I know we did offer him a deal. He declined it and went to Houston for whatever reason. But I'm not feeling there's going to be a big drop off there.
No, I would agree, and I don't. I was never a big Schultz fan. He always scared the hell out of me every time he caught it. I was waiting for him to fumble. So
Right.
I think the tight end room is better than it was
Mhm.
last year. Kelly, your thoughts on that?
I
Any
agree. I'm excited about. I was excited about the tight ends before. I'm like Tuck. That was in the draft when they took him. And before the draft, I was pretty vocal about. Look, I don't think they should draft a tight end. Honestly, I didn't think they
Right.
needed one. And if they did, I thought they would go late round. I was kind of hoping, in those one of those earlier rounds, second round, that they could address offensive line. And that was the one position we didn't address in the draft. I was a little like, what are we doing there? I feel it's a thin position. We'll get to that, but for tight end, I like Schoonmaker. It's not that I don't like him. I just thought we were set up pretty fine with Ferguson and Hendershot. So, but
Mhm.
I think it's a good room regardless. So I think that position will be one that excels. So I think we've got great wide receiver room and great tight end room. So
Right.
a lot of weapons for Dak.
only got one football, but I would
Right.
say
Yeah.
I think it's definitely probably the most talented group of offensive weapons that he's had, if not since he's been here in a long time.
Mhm.
Which leads me maybe to the area of question, which I don't think any of us question the starting five. It's just when you get past that, and I think we
Mhm.
all been here long enough to know that it's not if but when one of our linemen will go down. So this is where Tuck earns his money on YouTube. Is what do we got? Build us up. Are you comfortable with the group that we have, and what's your thoughts?
Is Zach Martin in it or out?
No, we're gonna get that taken care of. He's good. We got
All
what
right,
we
so
got.
yeah, if you give me Zach Martin and the offensive line is healthy, I'm very confident. I'm actually more confident than I've ever been in the Cowboys for the past like 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
Because what I like Tyron Smith at left tackle if healthy. I like Tyler Smith at left guard. I feel like he's more comfortable at left guard. I feel like he was kind of pushed out the left tackle last year. He survived, right? But I feel like where he can really have some impact is wrestling the phone booth because he put on some size too, his damn self. Then you have Tyler Biotis, who took a drastic leap last year. Zach Martin coming back happy, paid in full. He'll be ready to go. And then you get back healthy Terrence Steele. So I like our front five. And the thing that I really been asking for in Dallas, and we really haven't got it due to injuries, is some continuity. Like I hate the musical chairs where it's just, this guy here, and they want to put this guy at right tackle. Like for the offensive line, you have to move as a unit. You have to move as a chain. So have that consistency. So I feel good with our starting core. After that, remains to be seen. So, you have Matt Waletzko. He hasn't played yet in camp. He's just been out with an illness, but I know the Cowboys were very high on him last year to the point where I keep telling people if Tyron Smith and Matt Waletzko doesn't go down, you might not never even see Tyler Smith at left tackle because Matt Waletzko was their backup left tackle behind Tyron. So they're very high on him. He's an unknown, but I went through his film. He's a very athletic guy. He can do a lot of different things, but he just has to prove at the NFL level. You have Chima Uduga out of the Jets.
Yeah. Is he anything? I mean, he was a
Uh,
veteran.
yeah, he's a veteran. He's a jack. I've been calling him like he's just a guy. Like he's just a guy. I'm not too confident in him. Then you have Matt Farniok. I feel like Matt Farniok is a solid left guard and right guard. They can kind of play both sides. You have Awesome Richards out of North Carolina, who we drafted, but he's still a rookie. Josh Ball.
No,
Shows
don't talk about them.
yeah. So then it starts to tailor a little bit, but a guy that I am very high on is out of Oregon, TJ Bass. TJ Bass is a physical freak out of the University of Oregon, and I actually did a film breakdown when he played versus Georgia. So he's a guy who's already been getting those right guard reps in Zach Martin's absence. So, watching camp, watching preseason, I would definitely keep my eye out on TJ Bass. And there's a guy who I also covered at the University of Kansas, Earl Bostic Jr. Solid kid, very high IQ, but there's just so many of those young players kind of that mold. Is he going to break through or not? I don't know, but some names I would say is Matt Farniok, Awesome Richards, Matt Waletzko, and also TJ Bass.
Yeah. Well, this is why this man earns the paychecks, or he's going to get beat someday.
Where the
Is
money
because I
resides,
didn't
right?
know who the hell Bass was, and then I watched one of your videos and said, "Oh, all right." But now I'm getting educated, and that's where I say with Cowboys fans, man, we all know the stars, we all know this, but we all know it's a team, it's a unit, it's depth. And some of these guys, we don't know how they are.
And they're important, right? Because we just talked about Peyton Hendershot. No one had an idea who Peyton Hendershot was because he was an undrafted free agent, right? Terrence Steele is an undrafted free agent. Another guy who I was high on last year, and he's now in the running because of Donovan Wilson's calf injury, is Marquise Bell. So it's like, I know, like you said, Mike, the superstars are all up here, and that's what a lot of people focus on, the bright lights, but you really build your team and your 53 roster. I mean, even the practice squad matters too, about these uncertain guys going throughout the course of a 17-game season. So I know a lot of fans are looking like, who the hell is Jalen Moreno-Cropper? And it's just like, that's why I try to do the work that I do to make sure you're fully prepared by the time we get to camp. Now, once I get out there, I'm seeing them in these random numbers. I'm like, who is that? But I just think that, a lot of people just need to kind of open their eyes. And once you open your eyes and kind of see, like, okay, this TJ Bass kid, I've never heard of him, but here's him versus Georgia versus Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter. And I called him the dog catcher in the video because he was, he was holding his own. So it's like, there's some talented guys out there that can definitely have impact that you might not know, but that's what it takes to build a championship roster.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything, Kelly, on the O-line?
No, I was just gonna say, I agree with what he's saying, but you gotta know the people that are behind the people, because I mean, every team, man, throughout the year, there's injuries. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be games where guys have missed. Guys are going to have to step in. And McCarthy and their staff have done a pretty good job of doing that. Finding plug and play and getting guys in there. So I just I know the starting five of that O-line is set. It's like it's the what's behind them that kind of worries me a little bit. But we'll see, man. I mean, definitely gave me a few guys that I didn't even know. So I'm like,
but think about this, just a testament to Mike McCarthy. We lost last year Tyron Smith and Dak Prescott. Under other regimes, that would have crippled the season. Like
Tyron Smith, we've seen it.
The Chaz Green game.
Right. We used to see Tyron go down, or either Sean Lee, or it's just like, all right, well, let's get towards the draft, right? Or Romo would go down. So it's like, it shows what Mike McCarthy and the staff is just different. They're able to keep things afloat. I mean, even as bad as 2020 was with, Andy Dalton, and Andy Dalton gets a concussion, you have DiNucci and Garrett Gilbert, like, we were still competitive. And so that's what I like about Mike McCarthy. It's just that, we're kind of keeping that consistency. So hopefully we're able to build it, because that's how you build a championship team. I mean, granted, you can kind of go from overnight where you're kind of the bottom of the tier and then boom, you're at the Super Bowl, right? But, you had the first year in 2020, you went 12-5, lost in the wild card last year, 12-5, lost in the divisional. Now let's stack up on that and keep things moving. And I think that's the direction the Cowboys are headed in. Yeah.
And I tell you, I knew McCarthy's skills, and any Cowboy fan who remembers, all you got to do is go back to Green Bay. As you're talking, I'm trying to remember his damn name. I know it's Matt. I want to say Flynn. Maybe it was Matt.
Yeah, Matt Flynn game.
Absolutely, just beat the hell out of us with some unknown quarterback that we thought we were finally going to roll on Green Bay. We got embarrassed. So
we were up that game. We were cooking them. And I remember I went shopping with my wife, like, oh, this game's a wrap. So she wanted to go shopping. I'm like, we can go shopping. It's over. And I'm on my phone like, what is going on? Right?
So I've always said that about McCarthy. I think he's underrated. I think a lot of Cowboy fans were, they didn't like him coming in. But I talked to Green Bay Packer fans, and I mean, they loved him and they were high on him. Of course, you have some, if he wears out his welcome, it gets stale or whatever. But he got him a Super Bowl, and Aaron Rodgers ain't won 1 cent. So if he was the coach and not the quarterback, I guess we'll see.
Right.
So,
think about the PTSD that we've all had, though, because like Tuck said, Mir, at the beginning of last season when Dak got hurt, how many Cowboys fans, including myself, I remember saying, well, season's over because the trauma of the past. Like he said, Tony Romo would go down, season's over. Not winning with our backup. You know what I mean? We might win one, but we're losing the other 4, and he comes out and Cooper Rush goes 4-1. And I'm like, that was when I was like, all right, this is a sign of a good team, is a sign of a good coached and good disciplined team sticking to their philosophies and going out there and winning games that we could never do before if a star guy went down. So
I remember going to that Bengals game, like, let's get it over with, man. Just don't hurt anything. Like, go ahead.
Well,
Yes.
I'm going to change this for 1 second. If
All
anyone
right.
notices the picture, there's a reason I put it up. I had Anthony Dorsett on the show, the son of Tony Dorsett, and we had a great interview, great time. I mean, that dude is awesome. I can't wait to meet up with him in Dallas. Just a great guy. And 33 came up. And obviously his father, Tony Dorsett, and I think most of us in our, I guess you're probably younger than me, Tuck, but maybe not. Tony Dorsett's the reason most kids, at least my age, were Cowboy fans. He was the first, superstar in our eyes. And like Anthony said, he was the Michael Jordan of that time with everything he had with the shoe contracts and things like that. 33. He was very vocal about it. He was in a elevator with Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones and just happened to be in there and said his feelings on why are they allowing 33 to be worn. It was back when I think it was Nate Jones or someone was wearing it. So you went back pretty far. What's your thoughts on 33? And you see guys wearing it now, and it always seems to be a defensive guy, but it always seems weird to me, and it just don't look right.
So did he say what Jerry Jones's response was? Because I'm curious.
They don't retire numbers,
but but we haven't seen anybody in 22.
That's what he said. He said, I hadn't seen no one in 22, 12.
And 8? Have you seen anybody in 8?
Nope.
Yeah. And so that's the thing is like, I feel like if Tony Dorsett has expressed his, his sentiments about the 33 number, he should have the same respect that Emmett, Troy, whoever has had it. Like I feel like 33, if he says, listen, I want that number to be retired, he's in the Ring of Honor. Like, what I'm saying? So like he should get that benefit. But I get it because it's kind of hard because you'll eventually run out of numbers, but there's something that just, I remember the Cowboys fans were freaking out when Jalen Smith switched to number 9.
I mean, let's be real. Let's not let's not put them in the same sentence.
Right, yeah, exactly. So it's like, like this is different with Tony Dorsett. So Tony Dorsett is like, no, that's my number. I want it retired. But then it's like, can you really retire a number after everyone's already had it by now? Like, is it really like what's the point? So. But yeah, I would definitely retire 33 if he's sharing that sentiment. And
it's not even, it wasn't even necessarily retiring it. We're talking about, let's say, and again, it's no disrespect to the players that have been wearing it, but I mean, for God's sakes, they had Timmy Smith, who played with the Redskins, washed up running back in our training camp one time wearing 33. So there's a respect level. If Zeke would have come in and said, "Hey, man, I really, Tony Dorsett 33, he'd have no issues with it." I guess it's almost like the 88 where they reserve it for the key guys.
Gotcha. So make it more special and memorable. Versus a special teamer just getting it. Yeah, in 33. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree.
But it was what he was saying is and we've had Eugene Lockhart, we've had and it just seems like the pre-Jerry players are treated just a little bit different.
And that's how it is in the stadium, because we all been to that stadium. Like that kind of era is kind of just swept under the rug. The Tom Landry guy, just kind of like you would feel like if you walk in that stadium, it doesn't start with Jimmy because Jimmy's pretty much nowhere to see in that stadium. It started with Emmett, Troy, and and that's kind of everything starts. So it's like it's just Jerry being Jerry.
Yeah, so. Kelly, you were working, so you didn't get a chance to you got your 2 cents on it or no?
Well, I mean, I think that you're right. I mean, since it's already been worn, obviously it's not something where you could probably stop now because at this point, I agree, it should be made, for a running back. You get a special running back in there. I want to say because you have that thing with the 88 club. It's the 88 club. And it's been a thing where it's been passed down to pretty great receivers over the years have worn that number, and so now it's kind of like a badge of honor to get that. So whereas 33, if it's being worn by a defensive player, I mean, there's not really much special about that. You know what I mean? So I agree with that portion of it because definitely Tony Dorsett is
I mean, he would be on. I mean, he would be arguably on a Mount Rushmore of Cowboy. I mean,
Cowboy for sure.
The thing I always say is, and I was talking to my buddy about this for lunch. I don't think some of and I guess I don't want to go on a tirade, so I apologize. I don't want to defense. I won't waste your time, but it's just something that gets me because I think the Dallas franchise. I'd only compare one other one to it, and that'd be Pittsburgh. The amount of iconic players and the traditions they had. I mean, you're talking about 20, I think it was 22 winning seasons in a row. All that run, the players that they had through there, it's really spoiled. you know, and I didn't get a chance to see all of it. I only saw the tail end of it, but we have so much history, and I think that's what upsets, you know, the Eagles. That's maybe what upsets you know, these other teams is they've been in the game longer, but they don't have the history, and that's why they were Point America's team that we have, and it's really something to be proud of. I mean, when you look at these guys, and so it always kind of bothers me when I see certain players just kind of get, you know,
yeah, and they're just not celebrated, right? Like our legends just aren't celebrated. Like case in point, when I was in San Francisco, like literally Jerry Rice was like 3 rows in front of me, like he was in the end zone, and like he was there the entire game, beating a drum and waving towel, like he was like just entrenched with the fan base. It's like with our players, like you might see Emmitt Smith in a suite way up there, and they might say Emmitt Smith, you know, like it's just different. But like there's so many legends that built that stadium before Troy, before Emmett, before Irvin, like Tony Dorsett, Roger Staubach, you know, like Bob Lilly, I was talking about to you the other day, Mike. Like there's so much history when it comes to the Cowboys, and it's just like swept under the rug. So if I am an older player, I'm feeling like, well, no, we built this too. Like it just didn't start in the 90s when all the glitz and glamour came. Like there's really people that went up there, you know, Harvey Martin and like those types of Hall of Famers that are still alive and breathing that's not celebrated at our stadium. And honestly, a lot of the fans, I know Mike, you do incredible, and Kelly, you guys do an incredible job just trying to bring those guys in front of the newer fan base, you know, but a lot of Cowboys fans just don't know their history. They think it just started with Tony Romo spins and Dez throwing up the X. Like it wasn't, you know, it wasn't like that. So,
you know. It's like I said, my kid, he doesn't understand what championships are about. So that's why sometimes the mentality is a little bit different. Right. At the time where, you know, Cowboys were just a dominant team for decades.
And just even the fan base, even the old Texas Stadium spirit. Like, we're probably going off track. You know,
I apologize.
But this is important to me because I just think that the spirit of the team, of the fan base, like we really, as a fans, we don't have any identity. Like if we're traveling and me, Mike, and Kelly are going to a Cowboys game, what can we say on the plane and get everybody fired up? Like we can't, like, you know, like the skull chant that they have in Minnesota and, you know, like all these different things these other teams have. And just like with us, it's just, we them boys. How about those Cowboys?
How about those Cowboys?
Yeah. You know, like, it's just like a lot of people don't know our theme song. A lot of people don't know, you know, like none of these different things that you kind of lose your spirit. And I feel like a lot of that died in Texas Stadium. Like people don't understand, like what you see in Philadelphia right now, a nasty, grimy place that you probably really don't want to go. And I'll probably never want to go. That's how Texas Stadium used to be. Yeah. Like you don't want to go, you know, like you don't want to just kind of go out there by your own because it was just loud, rowdy, chaotic, but they moved their true fans, the true heartbeat, all the way up to the standing room, and they put the people, you know, down there with me who call security every time I stand up on 4th down.
Yeah, I mean that's just unbelievable. Well, I've seen it up close with you. It amazes me.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah.
I was just gonna say one of the first games that I ever went to was at the old Cowboys Stadium, and I just remember it being, like you said, it was kind of it was a rougher place if you were coming from out of town, because I remember tailgating in a dirt parking lot.
Yeah,
I mean the parking lot was literally dirt, but I mean the tailgates going down there were insane. And then you'd walk up to the stadium and you had to walk by this group of tailgaters on both sides, and they would just rain down insults. I mean, I remember there's guys with megaphones. It's a Cincinnati game, and Carson Palmer's playing, and they're sitting there and they're, Carson Palmer's a bitch. I mean, just everything. And these fans are walking in, and we had tailgated with some Cincinnati fans. I said, "You guys are on your own from here on out."
Right? Yeah,
we'll walk up a little ahead of you guys. Like, you know, that was like you don't really have that now at our stadium.
Not at all. You're gonna see everyone on the outskirts because you can't have any tailgating on the parking lots. You gotta be on the outskirts. Yep. The parking lot's gonna be empty and probably until 5 minutes before the game starts. You know, you're gonna walk in there, you're gonna wave your towel, and after you wave your towel to the kickoff, everyone please sit down. And security, can you get this guy down there to please sit down because we can't see? Hey, you with the margaritas, can you sit down? I'm like, bro, where's go? Like, and this is like playoff games, y'all. Like, this is playoff games, home openers. Like, luckily, all the security guys know me, but I've been called security on me so many times just for standing up and cheering on my team. You know, like it's
but I got to give props to you because you did something to fix that.
What's that?
You gave some gifts to.
Oh yeah. So I gave all the security people for the Christmas Eve game. I bought them all like gift cards and cars because I'm always there and I just see them in the same areas. So they're like, oh, thank you, So yeah, go tell them, go tell Big John and tell me to sit down. Like let's talk to Big John like every game. So
Yeah. Good luck with that. So
right.
I got sidetracked. I got on a tangent. Right. That's what I do. I can't help myself.
It's all fun, man.
Started about the history of the Cowboys. I just tell you, it is just the Cowboys. I'm so thankful in a weird way where I am today. And I've told the story. I'm not going to repeat it because we got to move on. But, the Cowboys mean a lot to me. The franchise means a lot. I love the history of the Cowboys. I think it's just, it's just so awesome. And that's why I love the opportunity that Kelly and I have had to interview a lot of these former players and really kind of hear that story. So definitely it's something I'm passionate about. But what I'm really passionate about, I know Kelly, I know you are, and Tuck, is about this defense. So defense, not a whole, I don't think we have too many concerns. We'd probably be splitting hairs. I think we're going to get to a point where Kelly and I might be in trouble because Neville Gallimore might get cut, and I don't know what the
intro.
We do that, but I think there's some good guys that may not be on this roster. Give us your kind of overall of the defense. Is there any areas that you have any concern?
Yeah, I think our defense is solid because once again, we stacked on improvement from what we already had. So signing Donovan Wilson was big, even though he had the calf injury, but we dodged a bullet there that he's only going to be out for maybe 1 to 2 weeks, possibly. But then, man, getting Stephon Gilmore. Getting Stephon Gilmore, that was amazing. That's something I didn't see coming. It was just amazing, and it definitely shored up our secondary to where I think we're really in a good spot if healthy. So you have Stephon Gilmore, Deron Bland, Trayvon Diggs. I think the news, even though Jordan Lewis is starting on PUP, he should be ready for the season. So that's another veteran guy can get out there. Then they got some other guys like Izzy McQuamu, who's kind of a hybrid. So you have a lot of youth mixed with veteran talent when it comes to our corners. We know what our safeties are. I'm good there. Defensive line, I feel like we have one of the best defensive lines in the NFL. I'm expecting this guy who has another Cowboys legend number, and Sam Williams, in number 54, to really take a leap and really get more opportunity. So, some guys I'm kind of linking on the cut side would possibly be Neville Gallimore. And also it's gonna be interesting to see what they do with one of my, Jayhawk brothers and Dorrance Armstrong. Because I felt like last year, Dorrance, he jumped out the gate. And honestly, I was thinking, should we maybe try to, trade him by his value? And it kind of teetered off a little bit. So, those are some of the guys I'm definitely going to be watching. But my hugest question mark, honestly, when it comes to the defense, is the linebacker room. You have LVE, who we know what LVE is. He's a high IQ guy. Limited side to side speed, but I trust him. I trust he's going to do the right thing and be in the right spot. Damone Clark, even though he's a defensive guy wearing number 33, I feel like he's going to take a massive leap this year. He's a high IQ guy who came out of LSU, had the neck injury, and even with the neck injury, he played well last year. So I'm expecting that. But after that, you have DeMarion Overshown, who we drafted this year, rookie guy. You have Devin Harper, who was a draft pick last year, and then you have Jabril Cox coming off the ACL injury, who really didn't take a leap forward, last year. So after that, it gets very young and low experience. So if I'm looking at any position to maybe add one of those types of, veteran guys, I know like Miles Jack is still out there, or Zach Cunningham, or Deion Jones, who Dan Quinn is familiar with, I would probably see a camp addition with the linebacker room. They're going to let these young boys kind of get their opportunity first and kind of see how things go, but just a little bit of depth. I wouldn't go with another Anthony Barr experiment, but I think that the linebacker room, that would be the one room I think the Cowboys is like, okay, we need just one little additional piece there.
Yeah, Kelly.
Yeah. So we got you got the we talk about the defense and the talent of this defense, and I think what's very impressive about this defense overall is a lot of the depth, because I feel like there's a lot of depth behind the guys that we got, and some guys that could be possibly sneaking their way into maybe even a starting spot on the roster before the year is over. So with that being said, with all the talent that we have on there, who's a guy that you have on that defense that we could see possibly be in the starting lineup before the season's end, sneak his way onto there, somebody that a lot of people might not know about?
Well, a sneaky guy. I mean, it's kind of a cheating answer, but I would go with Marquise Bell, the undrafted
Yeah.
guy out of FAMU that we got last year. I think with the Donovan Wilson injury, I think he's next up to be your quote unquote jackknife safety. So he's a hybrid guy. He can cover, he can tackle, he can do a lot of different things well. So if I had to kind of look from like a guy coming out of nowhere where Cowboys fans are like, oh, I don't know this guy, but he's getting some reps out there, especially week 1, 2, and possibly 3. It would be Marquise Bell out of FAMU. But another guy who might be a sleeper that could get some reps could possibly be Eric Scott Jr., who the Cowboys trade up the draft. Because if you think about it from this capacity, if Jordan Lewis is not able to give it a go, you have Gilmore, Diggs, Bland, and then that fourth corner spot will be wide open. So,
Yeah.
Eric Scott might be a guy that can be like your fourth corner to really kind of come in and surprise things like Deron Bland did last year, given the opportunity. Now, I know when it comes to the cornerback position, the whole conversation is, Kelvin Joseph and Nashawn Wright.
Yeah.
Me personally, and this is me, don't shoot the messenger. I just feel like the fact that Kelvin Joseph got the opportunity last year with Anthony Brown and Jordan Lewis being out didn't work out too well. We saw Green Bay, they kind of just picked on him a few times, right? But after that, they wouldn't try to get Trayvon Mullins. They wouldn't got Xavier Rose. Like they called me. They were trying to get everybody, and to the point where they even converted Israel McQuamu to cornerback in the playoff game. So it's like, do you still have a sponsor in the house that's going to vouch for you? And I feel like for Kelvin Joseph and also Nashawn Wright, you're going to have to stand out in camp because now that cornerback room is tightened up even more. And I don't think that special teams is going to be enough to save you because people got to understand special teams kickoff rule, it changed. Like there's not going to be a lot of kick returns anymore. And plus, you also got to count in CJ Goodwin as a corner for your depth piece just off the special teams alone as well. So you're looking at almost the cusp for that cornerback 6 or 7, So, I really don't DJ Tuck. But yeah, so I really don't know like who's going to get that final nod between Nashawn and Kelvin. But, Eric Scott and Marquise Bell, to answer the question, be kind of guys that kind of come out of nowhere. And defensive line, I would probably say, one of my favorites I'm very high on, but doesn't get a lot of credit is Chauncey Golston. I love Chauncey Golston. He's if you want to see a guy that makes you feel small, and for y'all don't know, Kelly's a big dude. Like he's bigger than me. Like Kelly's a big dude, but like when you walk up next to Chauncey Golston, you feel like a child. And so like he's a guy that can play defensive tackle, defensive end, just be kind of your versatile hybrid guy. I would expect Chauncey Golston to possibly take a leap as far as defensive tackles concerned on D-line outside the core guys who we already know who they are, like D-Law and.
Yeah. No, I was going to mention this, saw it in the chat, so give Ultra credit too, is with Joseph and special teams. I mean, do you think at some point, how that goes, like Goodwin, his role of special teams, and you kind of you get more of a veteran, your price tag goes up a little bit more and more. Do you think he may just age out and they would go with Joseph because special teams, like you said, isn't as critical, and maybe Joseph might have a little bit more upside, or no?
And see, here's the thing. Besides the fumble recovery versus San Francisco, people forget that he was one of the most penalized special teams players in the NFL last year. So it wasn't like he was amazing on special teams. Like every time there's an extra push or, just little things going on, it was with Kelvin Joseph. And so it's like, I don't want to say you can find a gunner off the street, but you can find a gunner off.
No, I mean,
if I tell Eric Scott, hey, the only way you're going to make this team is you go out there on kickoff and you run and you be a gunner on punt, and you be a gunner, he's going to run his heart off to be on this NFL roster. And so like you can get some guy that can really contribute on the field, defensively, but also special teams as well. And I just think because they traded up to get Eric Scott, he's probably going to have, the opportunity. And he's already off to a start with the interception. I haven't heard one tweet, post, video, anything about Kelvin Joseph this far, so.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think it's probably, Joseph and Wright, they've kind of been here and we've seen what we got with them. So maybe time to move on, from that. One of the things is obviously, Sam Williams, you got Parsons, you got Tank. Armstrong kind of intrigued me that you said he may be a potential, maybe someone to think about. What about, do you think that Gallimore and Bohanna, both of them could be gone, or do you think those two are fighting for one spot?
I think they're fighting for one spot, especially with Mozzie and Hankins returning
So you're
as
saying
well.
there's a chance.
Yeah, there's a chance. There's a chance, right?
There's a chance.
Yeah, but the thing about Gallimore and Bohanna is like who can play directly over the center. And I feel like Bohanna, just with his size, he kind of just gives you a little bit more than Neville Gallimore, but he was a higher draft pick. So it's like, I think they're in competition between Bohanna and Gallimore. I can see that because what people have to understand that the cuts are different this year. It's not going to be like a wave week one wave. Like it's all just the very last before the last season starts. It's just like, boom, you got to get down to 53, right? So it's going to be a massive wave. And then I think what's really going to happen is the Cowboys strategically going to think, okay, who could I stash possibly on their practice squad? Like, could it be Bohanna or could it be Neville? So they're going to try to play that game.
Yeah.
So it's something we definitely got to keep our eye on, like who's getting those third team reps. And I know, a lot of football fans, kind of casual fans, are going to watch preseason like, oh, Dak and CD's not playing. Like for us who kind of nerd out, we're going to be watching this stuff like, okay, why is Gallimore not coming into the fourth quarter? Like, so like those things are really going to stand out. So, it's going to be open competition, I think, for that final defensive tackle spot.
Yeah,
because with the addition of Mozzie and Hankins returning. So,
and I saw, I saw a thing on Osa. I mean, I love Osa. They asked about that. I mean, I think.
I love Osa. Osa's a lot.
Worry, and I think Kelly and I've talked about it. Kelly jump in the defensive tackles. So I mean, you go out and get Mozzie, and I know Kelly's loves Mozzie, and now you got Hankins. We've just been pushed around so damn long for so many years,
right?
And it's exciting to me to finally see the opportunity that we might be able to do some pushing and what that's going to do. People are going to really see what that does to our ends and also bring up some of our linebackers as well. So I'm excited with the defensive tackle spot is kind of like
nasty trenches.
Right.
Nasty trenches.
Did you guys see that video that Law Nation posted today of Mozzie when he came up off the sled, and I think it was the D-line coach that had the back, and he just drove him like almost into the wall. He kind of looks back like, what the heck?
Here's the thing, man. As big as Mozzie is, he's not fat. Like he's stout, man. Like people don't really because it's not probably going to stand on the stat sheet, right? But when it comes to Mozzie Smith, I feel like the impact will be felt immediately for everybody else around him because you're going to have to double team. Like you're going to have to double team him, and then you're going to get one-on-ones with the outside with Sam Williams, Micah Parsons, D-Law. I saw someone talked about Junior Fioco. Like there's going to be a lot of different guys that's going to get that one-on-one. And I'll take one-on-one pass rush with D-Law or Sam Williams or Micah any day of the week. But also it's going to help the linebackers as well flow a lot smoother because those centers and guards won't be able to get up to the second level and get on LVE and get on Overshown and get on Jamone Clark and keep those guys clean. So the Mozzie impact, I feel like, is definitely going to be felt, which is surprising that the Cowboys actually went defensive tackle in the first round because that's not what we do. But like I said, they recognize there's a hole in the boat. Let's go fix it. Let's go patch it up in the first round. They did it, and I'm excited for Mozzie Smith.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like I always said, the game's won in the trenches, but when I was a kid, I used to get so pissed. I mean, Russell Maryland I like because he was from the U. I used to get so pissed when they didn't draft us. So the one guy you didn't mention, and I know my man Steve were both from the U, and we didn't even realize it till sometime in the offseason. We have my man Redwine, one of the kings of the turnover chain on our roster. So are you saying there's no shot that he's going to make this team?
Like active roster.
There's your answer, Mike. There's your answer. Mike, that was
there's always a chance. Maybe active. I mean, maybe he's on a practice squad stash. But our defensive line is just, so heavy, man. Like with Osa and Golston, like, and Dan Quinn likes his guys. He likes to toss a lot of wood into the fire with those guys and keep things burning. So I mean, there's a shot, like I don't say no, but
well, I haven't heard his name once in training camp, so I got to think it's probably a long shot. But I tell you, the thing with the defense, it just reminds me. I hate to go back to the '90s, but that's the last time we won Super Bowls, so we got to always use that as a measuring stick. Is this defensive line? I just think it's going to be coming in waves. I think just like you sit Tank, you got Sam Williams. You can even if you got Parsons, you got. So we have so much talent and depth on the line, more than I've ever seen. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Since maybe those days of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I said this on Twitter, and I think a lot of people don't understand it, but I think Cowboys fans really have to get prepared for your defense to be the identity of the team. Like they're just not used to it, because I mean Jerry Jones has always spoiled us, right? When anything goes wrong, what was our safety plan? Let's get a wide receiver. Like last year when we were fan, well, come on, Odell, like we just need a wide receiver to make us feel better. But I feel like as of right now, the defense is really the face, it's really the anchor. And think about this: with all these fantastic defensive linemen and pressure we talked about, now you have to worry, do I challenge Stephon Gilmore, or do I put this in the air and risk Trayvon Diggs coming down with it? Maybe I'll go with this Deron Bland. Nope, he'll come down with it. Okay, well, maybe I'll attack this. Well, no, that's Jay Ryan. No, well, like, so now you have to make a life decision with all this impact coming down and firing off the ball rotation-wise and coming at you nonstop all game. It's definitely going to put our defense in an advantage. So I'm definitely excited about it because, me personally, I'm not a fan of using Micah as a defensive end entire time. Yeah. Not only do I want you to have to point out where's the middle linebacker and also what corners you have out there, but also where's number 11? Like, is he here? Is he there? Like those different things definitely impact how your offensive line is going to have to shift. If he's to the left, then we're going to slide protect to the left. He's to the right, so I want Dan Quinn to really use Micah as a chess piece and just maybe on third down, you pass rush him off the edge, but we'll see.
Yeah. Isn't Fowler? He's on the team, isn't he?
Yeah, Fowler's on the team, right? So, yeah, so he could be another guy, right? Because I feel like when it comes to Fowler, where it could be between him and Dorrance Armstrong, so it's like, yeah, because I like what Fowler was able to bring. He's a high motor guy, high energy guy. So we have a lot in the clip defensively. Like that's a good point. It's
going to be interesting to see they do the Cowboys, when the stadium and they show all the, all the graphics they do. Yeah. Is it going to be heavy defense? Because usually it's heavy offense. So it seems like I agree with you. I think the identity of this team has taken the turn to defense.
Right. So. I mean, because you can win. I mean, heck, Cowboys Nation, we've gotten our butts kicked in the playoffs 2 years in a row by a team that was just heavy defense and it's heavy run game. Like there was nothing fancy about the 49ers game plan. They played solid defense and ran the ball down your throat. And when it was time to make a throw, they made a throw. Like so, it doesn't have to be fireworks to win ball games. So I feel like let the defense be the identity. Let that be the heartbeat. It's okay to stand up on fourth down and root on your defense. It's okay, a little bit like, get nasty, get grimy, spill a little cowboy read on your white jersey. You're going to be all right. You're going to be all right, Cowboys Nation, I promise.
Now, the money you pay for these seats, you better be able to do what the hell you want.
I know, right? I should be able to sleep in the stadium around how much those tickets cost, man. Like, I'm not leaving nowhere, man. I'm going to take a nap.
That defense, man, with Dan Quinn, I know Dan Quinn has got to feel like a 5-star chef and all of his damn cabinets are full. He's got an array of seasonings and spices to put, man. I mean, that dude is going to cook this year. I love it. I love it. It's beautiful. But, hey, I got a question for you on special teams right quick, Tuck. So there's been some talk about, would Deuce Vaughn maybe take over return for, Turpin? Is Turpin going to make the roster with this new rule change? And I've been kind of no, I think Turpin's going to be back on this roster. I think he's going to be better with a full offseason. Played back-to-back seasons. Mike's pointed that out several times that he played that USFL and then right into the NFL. But with that rule change that they have, though, do you think that kind of puts his spot a little bit in jeopardy? And, and if not, and they do retain him, how often do you think we're seeing him take it out if it's, if it's at the 10-yard line or if it's, 5-yard line? Because, the thing about these kick returners is they take chances. They don't take a knee. And I've always liked the return game, me personally. So I kind of, I understand they're saying it's for safety, but you're taking away a big element of the game right there. What's your thought on that with Turpin and that new rule?
Yeah, from Turpin in regards to the rule, I know he came out and said he's going to be aggressive and return it. And I know that Bones Fossil typically likes to be aggressive as well, but does it make sense in a lot of capacities? So I think that Turpin will still make the roster because the Cowboys ego, like, hey, they bought a lottery ticket last year and it hit and actually worked. They don't want to just give that away for free, right? And watch him go to Buffalo and going crazy. So, I just think that because he turned into a Pro Bowler, from an undrafted guy, and so I think they're going to keep him on the roster. Now, Jess Navarez from DallasCowboys.com, we had her on the show a few days ago, and she said, during some of the trainings and OTAs, like he was involved a lot in just offensively, like lining up out wide, playing wide receiver. So they probably have a plan for him. It's just not just probably going to be a lot. But I mean, with that type of speed, like just get the ball to him in space. Like a lot of people don't understand who he was at TCU. Like he was kind of a gadget guy. You just give him the ball in space, quick screen, and just let him go. And he's his God-given ability. So there's always going to be a place just for speed. You know what I'm saying? Like there's always going to be a place for it. So I think that Turpin makes the roster. It's just that, even with the new rule, will you see him returning as frequently? Probably not. But you're going to see some games versus him like, you know what? Just go, because he can definitely flip the course of a game. Even though he didn't score like he did in preseason when everyone went crazy, he definitely has the ability to flip the game just like that. And you need that type of ability on special teams.
Yeah, I still wish he would have turned right at San Francisco.
I was just there, like man, like that San Francisco game. Like it hurts because I felt like it was there for the taking. And like when Tony Pollard went down, I almost threw up. I'm like, okay, we can still get it. And then when Kelvin Joseph got that fumble recovery, and then I was like, all right, here we go. And it's just like, it's just, new season, new year, new me, right?
I saw Aaron. We talked about offense earlier. You go back and watch it if you want, but I think we both feel good with Tyron at left tackle until he gets hurt.
Yeah. Until then, man, like I said, even with Tyron, it's like, I know he's older. He's still one of the best left tackles in the NFL when healthy. So it might be a week, it might be 2 weeks, right? But I feel like I know they were kind of lying. Jerry was kind of in his bag. Kelly does the best Jerry Jones impression where he's gonna, they were gonna have Tyler Smith play left tackle. They were gonna move Tyron to right tackle, and then Terrence Steele was possibly they didn't know. I'm like, come on, bro, like you're lying. Like, come on, like it's not quick. Like so. I just feel like, he's one of the best left tackles, when healthy. Hopefully that lasts. And I say maybe you bubble wrap him, sometimes in the middle of the season, just say, all right, we're gonna pull you for a little bit.
Well, I mean, my thing is I mean, I almost take the college approach, and maybe it backfires. Like if we're up on a team, man, take them out.
Take
them out and get back in trouble.
Or if you think, or if you've got enough confidence in your O-line, man, where you've got a guy that you think you've got behind him, and you're taking on a lesser team, and you're like, hey, this is a matchup here where we think Tyron's, they could give him a week off, because I mean, you think about that thing in the NBA, they got load management,
right? Load management.
Maybe Tyron Smith needs a little load management for this season to kind of keep him healthy, because you're right, when he is on the field, he's still one of the best at what he does. So it's just that he's going to miss some games, and that's reality we've all come to accept.
No, and we've been kicking in an hour 20. Is there any? We can go all night, man.
I can get going, man. I'm free. Like I'm off. I mean, I'm on vacation mode, man.
All right, well, any other Cowboy talk before I shift gears to something else, Kelly? Anything else on your mind?
As long as it's not those canes, we're good.
Because we got to talk. We talk. If Tuck and I are together, you cannot at least have a little conversation about college football. And I had Malik on, and we're talking a little bit about the Canes. The number, they had the top 10 most improved teams in college football. A&M was 1. Miami was number 2. I want to get your thoughts on Florida State. Did their preseason ranked in the top 5? I think.
Yeah. So I mean,
does that put the pressure on you, man? Are we going to sneak up on you, or is your team?
I mean, it really doesn't, because no one's still considering us, right? But I think the thing is, with Florida State, we have possibly 2 first-round draft picks. Maybe make top 15 in Johnny Wilson and possibly Jarrett Verse, right? And then you also have Trey Brinson and then our quarterback, right? And Jordan Travis. So it's like they have a lot of talent that returned this year. So, but it's always up and down with college football, and it's the thing is like, can Mike Norvell really string things throughout the entire course of the season without having any drop-offs? Because if Florida State loses ACC team, they'll plug any SEC team just right in that spot just to get that money. So will we run the table? I don't think so, but I feel like Florida State's going to be much improved this year. And I think that they'll handle Miami, but they got a good game versus LSU out there in Orlando. So Yeah, but I think
That's a good spot. I'd rather be in Orlando than at LSU at a night game or something like
yeah,
that. That's never a good
So,
thing.
but yeah, I think overall they're gonna have a decent season. I'm not saying national championship, but they do have a lot of talent, and from what Mike Norvell has done from the Willie Taggart era, it's been much improvement. So I'm expecting my Saturdays to be a lot better. But Florida State and the Cowboys are cousins, right? Because they always have like these brain fart games where you're sitting back just thinking like, what the hell was that versus a lesser opponent? It could be like North Carolina State or something like that, where or Wake Forest, and so, but I think we're going to be a decent team this year.
No, I'm with you, and I want to get Texas Tech's opinion, but I just say on the flip side of it, they did the top 10 most delusional fans, and Miami ranked number two.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
we're excited. I mean, it's been a while. We want the U to be back.
Woo.
I
That
wouldn't say
whooping we put on y'all last year that was special, man. On homecoming too, like that was fun, man.
well, you'll see. I should have tagged you in it, so I sent Malika. I found my ticket stub for when I went up my son's first game, and Malik just happened to be the quarterback. When I don't know if you remember that last second touchdown pass when we ripped the hearts out of Florida State in Tallahassee. So we've gone to Tallahassee. We've beaten you guys plenty of times up there. So don't go cashing them checks when you let. So we'll see what happens. But no, I'm excited for. I love college football, not as much as the NFL, but I do love college football and excited. And Kelly and I were talking about with Miami and Malik. We talked about could Miami flip to the Big Ten because you've seen all these changes. And the more I thought about it, I was like, damn, that ain't too bad as long as they can play Florida State.
Yeah, because there was talks a few years ago about Florida State possibly going to the Big 12. I'm like, just get rid of conferences. I'm tired because like Colorado just announced they're coming to the Big 12. And it's like, just get a map and split it in quadrants and like, okay, who's in your quadrant? That's who you play, man. Like all this rotating around and Pac 18 and it's just too much going on. So
yeah. And Kelly, I was gonna throw you in there with Texas Tech. Didn't Zach Thomas?
Yeah, he played for Tech, but I was just, I was gonna say on that what he's talking about with Colorado, that feels like that may be that first domino to fall. They've been speculating a lot about the Pac-12 and is it gonna fold? Is it, their TV deal's expiring? And Colorado's the first one to leave. And usually when you lose one,
right,
you're gonna lose a couple. So I'm guessing that's probably the first one to go there in the Pac-12. And like I said, like you said, it's basically already going that way to where it's gonna be a couple of super conferences and that's it. You know what I mean? And there's going to be a bunch of, but that's kind of the way that it's going, man. It's interesting watching it unfold, but,
it's going to be interesting to see Coach Prime in the Big 12, though.
I know. I'm kind of pumped up about that. Actually, I'm gonna have to make a trip to Lubbock to go see that.
It can't get any worse, right? They won one game, so
they're playing the house money, right?
If he wins two, they doubled their win total. So he's got kind of.
College football as a whole, I think they've got to do something to get. I know it's becoming professional football and it's big money and all this and that, but I think they're going to have to do something with these conferences. I always said that, like to your point, why don't they regionalize it? Why don't they just kind of break it up into fours or something like that, and then almost create a playoff system within those that you end up with a championship. So hopefully they do something with college football because I love it, but it's kind of losing a little bit of its love.
And the thing that keeps college football alive is the spirit of it. And so you lose those rivalries and different things. It's just like, okay, like Texas going to the SEC next year, and then because with Kansas and Missouri, they lost the border show. Like those are big. Like people live and breathe that. So when you take that away, it's just like, it's just. I mean, that's what really separates college football from the NFL. To be honest with you, it's the real, true rivalries, not the ones we just have on Twitter. So,
does Kelly love Texas? I didn't know that. I thought you were.
Yeah.
Hell's my brother-in-law. He knows how much I hate him. He's a Longhorn fan, and I'm always talking shit. I'm like, man, I can't even. He's so nice and complimentary towards Tech, and he'll be like, oh, he's like, Tech's really got something going. They got a pretty good roster, good coach, or whatever. And I'll be like, fuck Texas. Like, I can't do it, man. I want to be nice and excited for them when they do good, but I'm like, I hope they do bad every year.
Texas. I always love Miami. I always look back at it, man, and when we smoked them in that in the Cotton Bowl with Randall Hill, and doing the gunshots in the tunnel after we blew like an 80-yard touchdown on the. We had over 200 penalty yards in the first half. Still beat the hell out of them, which was I remember that Mike Francesca, he was like just ripping Miami for being lack of discipline, the disgrace and this and that. But the Texas players, when we had Dennis Erickson on, we talked about it. The Texas players were running their mouths. They had a lineman. It was when Russell Maryland, that was his senior year. They had a lineman saying how he's going to stomp Russell Maryland, and Russell Maryland ain't seen no Texas guy before, and this and that. And I'm just saying, you challenge the Miami guys, you're asking for trouble, and Russell Maryland absolutely destroyed them. And there was just thinking of Miami, Texas, there was a rumor, and I never really got the answer, but Eugene Lockhart, the Cowboys used to have a traveling basketball team. It was Eugene Lockhart. It was Drew Pearson. It was Michael Downs. I think maybe even Tony Dorsett might have been in there, because I think even his son was talking about it. So they used to go around to different cities and, I guess, play basketball. And
that's different times back then.
No, had come in, and Eugene Lockhart was the alpha. He was the lead dog there. And Michael Irvin, he had said something to Michael Irvin about sit down and this and that. This is my bus or something. And Michael Irvin said, I ain't sitting down for nobody. And he said, man, he goes, you ain't messed with no one from Texas before. He goes, we ain't messed with no one from Miami. The rumor was they, and you can look it up. There's this guy Paco who was an assistant in there, and he told the story of it. But needless to say, at the end of the day, Michael Irvin became the lead dog on the bus. I don't know.
Of course. Sounds about right.
The way I look at it is Michael Irvin was one of like 17 kids. That dude was fighting every day.
Right. He knows. Yeah.
I was gonna say just like the longest yard, he was the alpha out there. He was the same way. That's his personality. That's what he wasn't acting in that movie.
Right.
It was really
his role, right?
Yeah.
Natural.
Yeah. So it was. It was just a different time. But I wanted to leave you with Kelly gave his prediction. I gave my prediction for the record. I don't know if you do that. Do you check the box? Do you mark out the wins and losses? What are you thinking of the Cowboys? If you're everything healthy, what are you thinking this team could do?
I got us at 13 wins this year.
All right, you're better than me.
Yeah. I got us at 13. If everything's healthy, everything's a go, right? So like 12, 13. I think we're right in the same. I have us winning the division though this year.
Yeah.
Yes. That part.
Now Kelly has the Eagles at 9 wins. Do you think he's crazy? Do you think he's right?
No, I think he's probably on par. And they're gonna they're gonna clip this and they're gonna cry on Twitter and then Jordan Lewis 9 wins. Like, no, but I just feel like people got upset. Like Cowboys fans got upset with me last year, right? Because I picked the Eagles to probably be the favorites and win the division, right? Because analytics history repeats itself. Like one, we haven't had a repeat winner since what, like 2005, 2006
a long time
in the division. Okay, so that works against me. Plus, when's the last time you had someone who lost the Super Bowl the year before actually go back? That was Tom Brady years ago. So just with history on your side, it just doesn't favor the Eagles. So if I'm looking at anybody to kind of be in the cusp, is either going to be the Giants or it might be this wild card team that Eric Bieniemy gets a hold of Sam Howell, and we're looking up like, oh damn, here comes the damn Commanders out of nowhere, right? So I'm not saying Philly is a bad team. I'm saying when you look at things and who had the most change and overturn and with roster and coaching staff, they lost a defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, they lost their defensive linemen, like they're very young with their draft. Like they had the most changes of anybody. Yeah. Everybody else, Washington, New York, Dallas, they all added on what they did last year. So, I'm probably leaning towards, other teams to kind of, so I'm probably thinking like, 9 or 10 wins. They're going to cry about it. They're going to come here to Kansas City and I'm going to be there. They're going to get smacked around, then cry about it. Then I'm going to smack them in October. Yeah. So it's like, it's crazy, right? As good as the Eagles was last year, think about this. Without Dak, Cooper Rush almost heated up a little bit. Like,
no, they got back in it.
They got back in. Like now I was like kind of holding on for dear life. I'm like, we about to get blown out. But then Cooper Rush kind of figured it out. Like, it wasn't like they were just this god body team. When you look back, like they look unbeatable. Yeah. You saw them on Christmas Eve, and I know Jalen Hurts was out, but their defense was there, and Dak, beside that one boneheaded interception, I was like, okay, what are we doing? he just his hair turned gold and the ground started shaking and he carved them up and was surgical. So, I just haven't seen Dak Prescott be in a situation where he struggles versus Philly. It just hasn't been the case. And I feel like our offense is much more improved, knock on wood, if healthy, than what we had last year. So I feel like last year everything kind of worked in their favor. They had minimal injuries, caught everybody with the element of surprise. Cinderella, glass slipper, but hey, it's midnight right now. So
yeah. And
that's what I keep saying.
Go ahead, Kelly. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying everything he said is the reasons why. I'm just saying the deck is literally stacked against him. I mean, you think about all the things that went right for him last year, and now it's just like you're just going to roll into the season with no problems with, replacing both coordinators. You lost several starters on your defense. I mean, and you're plugging these young guys in and thinking they're going to exceed. You are very, very healthy and lucky with injuries last year. It's like, and you lost the Super Bowl last year, like all these things are stacked against them to where it's just like, if they were, if they were somehow to win the division or something and get deep in the playoffs, I mean, that would be a tremendous feat, for them to do. And I just don't see it happening. I mean, Jalen Hurts was pretty bad his first year. I mean, they wanted to trade him for Russell Wilson, and then he was great his second year. Well, now he's on another new offensive coordinator, so there are no guarantees when it comes to that. A young quarterback, third offensive coordinator. I mean, it gets overlooked, I think, way too much.
And he's paid. So are you going to put that wear and tear and running him like crazy and open him up for that risk when he's had injuries last year and also the year prior, right? So you're going to be more strategic with this. So there's a lot of different changes. And plus, there's the film now. We've seen it. Okay, this is what you like to do, and they have an unproven guy. I forgot his name because they think that I watch the Eagles so much. I've got their new offensive coordinator, but Shane Steichen's going to.
He was like the quarterbacks coach, wasn't he? Their quarterback.
Yeah, what's his name? Brad Johnson.
I think his dad, didn't his dad coach him in high school or something like that? There was
something. Like honestly, I don't watch them as much as they I differ with them. I don't watch them close enough besides the draft because I just cover the draft. But so I just feel like the NFC East is going to be a lot competitive. But you have to also understand we can. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, we could be the NFC least and we can turn it back
I mean, my opinion on the East is I honestly don't think the Giants are that good. I think they're going to be exposed. I think they were lightning in the bottle. I think Washington, they're going through some stuff. Bieniemy is going to be interesting to see. He's going to be on his own to see what he can do, with that offense. But I think with the Eagles, just jumping back to them last year, and you can't fault them for it. I'm not hating on it, but they played teams at just the right time, and that makes a difference.
Right,
they
it does.
Jaguars early, we played them late. The Jaguars, I said it. You can look back at the tape. Did not want to play the Jaguars late. I felt they were going to get better. Trevor Lawrence is going to get better and better and better. They played Green Bay with Jordan Love. I mean, you played Detroit early and even
Minnesota early, yeah.
So a lot of it is when you play teams, and then they get the playoffs, and that's why the 1 seed is so important. But they get to play a Giants team that really was overrated, should have been in there.
Honestly, if we don't have the boneheaded moments versus Green Bay and also the Jacksonville Jags, that changes everything. Because those games that Hurts had to sit out, they couldn't risk it, but they were safe because bobblehead Brown, we lost in versus the Jags. And so, but that's our fault. It's not their fault. But, imagine if we played the 49ers, then Brock Purdy went out and then their backup quarterback went out to the point Christian McCaffrey's playing quarterback. Sometimes things are just on your side, but then, Pat Mahomes is a little bit more luckier than y'all, so.
You got to give him credit for it, whatever. But it's a new year.
New year. That's what I'm saying. It's a new year. I don't care what they did last year, So it's y'all don't care what we did last year. I don't care what they did last year. So that has nothing to do with us. But I think the Cowboys can be good.
But someone said, "What if y'all are wrong?" Well, then I've been wrong for the last 27 years. What the hell?
I'm not going to lose my house, am I, or something? I don't know. What if we're wrong? But what if we're right?
That's exactly. And what's funny about when people are saying that, people are like, "What if you're wrong?" That's like Mike said. Who gives a shit? How many years that we have thought that we had something and we've been wrong? I don't get how people always are like, you guys say this, every year, blah, blah, blah. This is your year. But no, we're optimistic. And we're ready to win a championship. And we know that it's been a very long time. So, when we see a good team, we recognize it. We just haven't had the breaks that Philly had. Plain and simple. It's always been
every
something.
fan base. And like, here's the thing: like, people say, "Oh, you all like." No, last year, like with the work that we do, we talked to enough Cowboys fans. Wasn't no one beating on their chest last year because we were all freaking out. Like, we got rid of Amari Cooper. Like, we wasn't saying this is our year. Like, we were just like, bro, go get a wide receiver. So it's like, you think the Cleveland Browns are optimistic that Deshaun Watson's throwing the ball into a freaking hoop, that this is going to be their year with Amari Cooper? You think the Bills aren't saying? Like, everybody's saying that. Everyone's 0-0. This is the fun of the NFL season.
Yeah.
There was a Bengals team 2 years ago. Yeah.
I mean, they want you coming in. They want us Cowboys fans coming in being like, yeah, we probably won't win, but 8 games, man. This team is trash. They want us to turn on our own squad somehow. By this brainwash bullshit. It's like,
and it works with some people.
And then when they win, if Dallas wins, we're like, oh, look at you bandwagons. You guys didn't think they'd win.
You didn't believe, right?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly,
you want me to say the Dallas Cowboys have no chance to win the Super Bowl right now? So when we go to the Super Bowl, you can clip this video and say you didn't even believe in them. So it's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. That's why my message is always just be the type of fan you want. You know?
Now, I don't know if I Love Weed is bullshitting us, but I'm not that big of a fan.
Yeah. I ain't that fan for nobody. Yeah, I wouldn't even bet on myself for that much. Yeah.
So, no, but anyway, hey, Tuck, man, hour and a half. Geez, we appreciate it.
Guys. Easy, man.
We had Nick's on him. I mean, he was like, man, we can go another 3 hours.
Nick's can go, man. Like, me and Nick's have done 7 hours before. Like, we did a 7-hour draft show. We were young and rookies, and we just kept going and looked up. It was like 5 a.m. Like, oh my God. But,
we're thinking of doing a Saturday Cowboys are preseason game. Maybe have a little drinks and hang out. Just people can drop in and just hang for a little bit, come and go as they please. So definitely if you're around chilling on a Saturday watching, you can pop in.
I can do that during the preseason, regular season. No. I suck. I suck at being an in-game live streamer. The one game that I did was the Jacksonville Jags game. So I feel like, oh, we're good, right? And I was comfortable for the first half. Like kicking my feet up. We're talking in the chat, and all of a sudden I just went silent for like the third.
I got to use one of my audios because you said this was Tuck before the season, looking at which game am I going to do, and he said I'm going to take the Jags, and this is why.
And usually during the off season when they bring the schedule out, we would chalk it up as a W.
And that's what you did, right?
Yeah,
that's what Eugene Lockhart used to do. Every time he just chalk it up as a W. Because I always wondered if players, we do that. Do the players look at the schedule? And he confirmed that the players do the same thing.
They probably do. And me and Kelly were at that. Well, you were there too, Mike, that Broncos game.
Oh, my God.
And that's the game that I really learned my lesson, because I was like, I didn't do any like content that week. I was kind of just half going through the motion. Like, oh, we're playing the Broncos. We're about to just dog walk them, So, and then we walked out that stadium just battered and bruised. I was like, man, I can't do that anymore. So now every team was like, all right, let me lock in and make sure, we're covering all our, our bases when it comes to these teams, man.
Well, Kelly was first because I think he brought a girlfriend to the game.
Yeah. We got bruised. That game was bad. And I remember it because the night before it was the Canelo fight. So me and all my friends, we went out to Texas Live. We were out to like 4 a.m. And it was a noon game. So like I was just barely awake, hungover, and like, all right, let's just get this over with. And then like I'm like, bro, like, come on, y'all, like, all right, let's go, like, I'm just like, okay, we're getting dog walked out this stadium. Like this
immediately.
Yeah,
there was like never any, like they started and they like kicked us in our chin, and then they just kept curb stomping us. Like,
when will it stop? Okay.
And then it was like right when I thought we got a little momentum, and then boom, it took that shit right back from
the block punt that Nation touched. I was like, all right, well, that was a game I just set out.
No, now we see that. But the funny thing is, I should have known better because my brother's a Broncos fan, and we have not. I don't think we've beaten the Broncos since 1992.
The 90s, yeah.
I know.
It's just something about. I remember the game when we had. It was the next year when we had Zeke and Dak in their second season, and we were going against the Broncos. And the Broncos, I mean, they were okay. They had Von Miller, but they didn't have Peyton Manning yet. And I'm like, dude, we're gonna beat the hell out of you guys. This, that. And they destroy. I think Zeke got like 8 yards.
I remember that game.
Yeah,
they beat the shit out of us.
They take it personal when it comes to us, man.
Yeah, and I watched that with a Broncos fan. One of my buddies is a Broncos fan, and there was 2 of them there, and then just me. And man, I was ready to talk so much shit that game because I'm like, Zeke's gonna run through you guys. And yeah, you're right. It was like 8 yards. He was like, I wore my Zeke jersey and everything. He's like, yeah, this is your king. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
Like, this is my prime jersey. I was
Right.
I'm like, man, shit. Let me tell. And then you can look back at that Romo game with the Broncos when it was Romo and Manning. I mean, that's another game. It's just like they've just had our number, man, for quite a while, man. And I'm sick of fucking watching them games with the Broncos fans. So
yeah. No, we definitely gonna do that, but no, man. But we listen. We're gonna wrap it because we're going all night now. What I was gonna say is, it's 10:45 my time. 10:45 my time. It's a little different, but I'm gonna leave you on because you're like family. So we're just gonna do the quick outro. But I wanted to remind everybody, Cuts by Jones is giving away this beautiful piece at the Cowboys Cave tailgate party. You can pick which one you want, whatever you want. We're going to be doing a giveaway with our 2,000 subscriber. We believe we're going to get it done by the tailgate. So we're going to get that thing done. And then we've got some other great things. We got a lot of love for Eugene Lockhart. And hopefully if you're listening, I've called you, I've texted you. I'm a little concerned. I might have to call the other number I have, but I haven't heard from him. And he always texts me pictures of his fish. This and that. So hopefully Eugene is doing all right. I know Kelly's reached out to him. So hopefully if you're listening, man, you need to give us a holler to make sure you're good. But he's talking about coming out there. We're going to have a great party. The only bad part is I heard rumors that for us to get in lot 10 or lot 4, we're going to have to get up at like 5 a.m. So
here's the trick. Here's your trick. You have to get there early and just park your truck there.
Yeah.
Like, so someone has to sacrifice, like go like super early, just get the spot and then get it. But honestly, like, that's the opener. Yeah, you have to get there early.
Anyway, I don't know, Tuck. So the tailgate thing is something I miss, and
right.
Talk about it. So I was kind enough. I put a just out there, and I didn't think anyone would come through. My man Mark came through, and he's like, because I said, if someone gives me a garage, I just want to send some stuff to you. If you can give me a little space, and that way when I go to games, I could set up a little tailgate. I can relax a little bit if I'm going there with kids or family, and just have, if anyone wants to come by, they can come by. So I didn't think anyone would take me up on it. He did. So now it's like, well, I got to do it. And
right. Yeah. So let me know, because my mom and dad stay down there, and we're probably like 10 minutes away from the stadium. So, we'll collaborate. We'll talk off cam and get something set up, man. So we can definitely do it big for the home opener and just for other games too. I mean, because that's what the fun really is. Like, even though we do content and love the games, like the real fun and the thing that we get the reward is being around Cowboys fan. Like, I'm like, here's how crazy it is. Like, I'm already packed for Oxnard for Monday. Like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get out there amongst Cowboys fans, be around my team, and get back to football. And that's where the fun really starts. Just for, I know for a lot of us, it's being, meeting guys in person and just repping the team that we love. So
and Jones is going to be on the grills.
Jones be cooking on the grill, man. He making my grill look bad, man. I'm like, I gotta put some more work in. Like,
So Kelly, anything else to add? Any final thoughts?
No, man. I was just thinking about when you guys started talking about Jones, it started making me hungry. It's a little too late for me to eat.
He puts that on a Sunday, man. He puts those pictures on there, and I'm like, God,
He's doing it up all the time, man, all the time. So every time I see him cooking something, I'm like, damn, I wish I lived in San Antonio.
Right.
No. So, hey, we'll leave it. We had a great time. Now we're pushing 2. Now we definitely beat Nick's record on the show. But no, seriously, we've had a great time. JTuck, tell them one more time. It'd be idiotic if they don't know where to find you, but give us one more time.
Yeah, man, my guys, man, thanks for having me on. It's always fun, man. I definitely appreciate both of you, man. We talk off cam a lot, and just, seeing your growth and what you guys are doing with the channel, man, it's amazing. So keep it up. Definitely get to 2,000. Share the content, y'all. Like the content, because that spreads the awareness. There's a lot of Cowboys fans who need to be aware. But you can find me on all social media platforms, once again, at JTuck151. Twitter is where I'm pretty much known for. I guess me and Kelly got crowned like the kings of Cowboys Twitter. I'm like, oh, what a great honor, right? Do we get anything with that? Elon, not no checks or anything, but I just appreciate talking to Cowboys fans. And then you can find me on CFO Sports, once again, on YouTube. Comment, like, subscribe. We do film breakdowns, draft breakdowns, guests, live shows. We do a lot. And like I said, I'll be out there live at camp on Monday doing my thing. So who knows who you might see, man. So I'm just appreciative of Cowboys fans for giving me the platform, and we're going to get rocking this season. So I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, no, thank you, and I appreciate you, man, hanging with us like 2 hours.
Oh yeah, it's easy,
Yeah.
man. Oh, yeah, it's easy to do it, man.
I appreciate Kelly. Anything to say before we dip out?
Nah, man. Tuck can run these numbers, man. This is not nothing new to him. I've seen it. I've heard the work he puts in and seen
Yeah.
some of the stuff he does. He's probably like, shit. If you wanted to, I could run
Yeah,
another.
like I said, I'm on vacation mode, so I can keep going. But yeah, I mean, it's when you love what you're doing, man, love what you're talking about. It's easy. Now, some people you go on shows, and it's like, all right, bro, like that's how I'm gonna go. But with you guys, it's easy.
No, it's awesome. I would love to go. I'll tell you why I can't go when we get off air. Probably Marvin. Anyway, hey, we appreciate it. Like you said, man, like, subscribe, share. That's how you show the love to us. Same thing with JTuck, but we're having an awesome time. Like I said, we got a very busy week coming up next week. We got all the training camp preseason. We got some good videos. Daryl Moose Johnson's going to be coming in, so make sure you guys check it out.
Yep.
Say I've been talking too much, man. I'm getting tongue-tied. So
Yeah,
I'm out of here, man. You guys peace out. We'll see you.
Peace.
All right, peace.
You Eagles get ready, because you might not like it, but you will learn to love it because we are the best thing going today. Now, can you dig it?